I never thought the sister I supported through college would frame me for theft. For years, I quietly paid Serena's tuition and helped with our parents' bills while she basked in their endless affection. Then, one day, her precious necklace disappeared, and suddenly, I was being called a thief in my own home. The look in my parents' eyes when they chose her lies over my truth shattered everything I thought I knew about family. I packed my bags that night, but what happened next changed all our lives forever. If you're watching this story, drop a comment telling me where you're tuning in from. Hit subscribe and stay for a family drama that proves blood is not always thicker than water. Growing up in our modest suburban home in Michigan, I always knew my place in the family hierarchy. From as early as I can remember, Serena was the golden child. While I earned straight A's and participated in every extracurricular activity possible, my achievements seemed to fade into the background whenever my sister entered the room. My parents would attend my baseball games only if they did not conflict with Serena's dance recitals. When I was accepted into the state university with a partial scholarship, my parents nodded and said, "Good job." 2 years later, when Serena got into a private college with no financial aid, they threw a party and invited the entire neighborhood. I tried not to let it bother me. I understood that Serena had a certain charm about her that I lacked. She was outgoing, charismatic, and could light up a room with her smile. I was more reserved, analytical, and preferred small groups to large gatherings. While I focused on building a career in finance, Serena pursued a degree in communications, determined to become the next big name in broadcast journalism. During my sophomore year of college, our father lost his job when the manufacturing plant he managed for 20 years suddenly closed. Our mother had always worked part-time at the local library, but her income was not enough to sustain our household. I immediately picked up 2 extra campus jobs and sent money home every month, no questions asked. It was what family did for each other, I believed. After graduation, I landed a position at a respected financial firm in Detroit. The starting salary was modest, but I was on a clear path for advancement. Meanwhile, Serena was entering her freshman year at an expensive private university. One evening, I received a call from my father, his voice uncharacteristically small as he explained they could not afford Serena's first semester tuition payment. "We do not want to ask, but she would be devastated if she had to leave," he said. "It would just be temporary until I find another management position." I agreed without hesitation, arranging an automatic monthly transfer to cover her tuition. What started as a temporary solution quickly became a permanent arrangement. My father eventually found work, but at significantly lower pay than his previous position. As years passed, I continued paying not only Serena's tuition, but also helping with my parents' mortgage and utility bills. None of my friends knew about this arrangement. I kept it quiet, not wanting to embarrass my family or make Serena feel indebted to me. Every time I visited home, Serena would excitedly share stories about her internships and networking events while my parents beamed with pride. Not once did anyone acknowledge that her opportunities existed because of my financial support. I told myself it did not matter that family took care of each other without expecting recognition or gratitude. But deep down, a small resentment began to take root. By the time Serena was in her senior year, I had received 2 promotions and was earning a comfortable salary. Our parents never failed to mention how proud they were of Serena's academic accomplishments, how she was sure to land a prestigious job after graduation. When I mentioned my own career milestones, the conversation would quickly shift back to Serena. It was as if my success only mattered in relation to how it could benefit her. The tension became more noticeable during holidays and family gatherings. Serena had developed an entitled attitude that grated on me. She expected our parents to cover her shopping expenses whenever she came home, despite knowing their financial struggles. When I suggested she might consider a part-time job to help with personal expenses, she laughed it off. Why would I waste time on minimum wage when I could be networking? Besides, Dad already said he would increase my allowance next month. I shot a surprised glance at our father, who avoided eye contact. Later, when I asked him about this allowance, he admitted he had been giving Serena spending money from the funds I sent for household bills. The revelation stung, but I said nothing. As her graduation approached, Our parents announced they were buying Serena a special gift, a white gold necklace with a sapphire pendant that cost nearly $2,000. They asked if I would chip in, seemingly oblivious to the fact that I was already supporting most of the household finances. I agreed, telling myself it would be the last major expense before Serena entered the workforce and became financially independent. The necklace became Serena's prized possession. She wore it constantly, making sure everyone noticed and complimented it. "My family got this for me," she would say, never acknowledging my contribution. I tried not to let it bother me, but the pattern was becoming increasingly clear. I was the family bank account, not a son or brother worthy of recognition. The day everything fell apart started like any other. I had been at work since 6 in the morning, dealing with a particularly difficult client situation that had stretched my patience thin. I was staying temporarily at my parents' house while my new condo was being renovated, sleeping in my childhood bedroom that remained unchanged since high school. It was supposed to be a 2-week arrangement, but it had already stretched into the 4th week due to construction delays. I arrived home around 7:30 in the evening, exhausted and looking forward to a quiet dinner and early bedtime. Instead, I walked into what felt like a crime scene investigation. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table, tissues clutched in her hand, while my father paced the living room with a stern expression I recognized from my childhood whenever I was in serious trouble. Serena sat on the couch, her eyes red and puffy, dramatically dabbing at her tears. "What is going on?" I asked. Setting down my laptop bag, my father stopped pacing and fixed me with a cold stare. "Serena's necklace is missing. The one we gave her for graduation." "That is terrible," I said sincerely. "When did you last see it, Serena?" Before she could answer, my father interrupted. "We need to search your room." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. "You think I took it. Why would I steal something that I helped pay for?" "Serena said she saw you looking at it on her dresser yesterday," my mother said quietly, not meeting my eyes. This was absurd. I had not even been in Serena's room since moving back temporarily. "That is not true. I was at work all day yesterday. I did not get home until after 9. Serena sniffled loudly. "I saw you. You were in my room when I came back from the bathroom." "That never happened," I insisted, my voice rising with frustration. "Check the security cameras at my office if you do not believe me." My father shook his head. "Just let us look in your room. If you have nothing to hide, it should not be a problem." The implication that I was lying infuriated me, but I stepped aside. "Go ahead. Search whatever you want." For the next 30 minutes, I stood in the doorway watching as my parents rifled through my belongings. They checked under the mattress, inside my suitcase, through my desk drawers, and even in the pockets of my clothes. The humiliation burned through me as they treated me like a common thief. Serena stayed downstairs, occasionally calling out suggestions for places to look. Finding nothing, my parents finally stepped back. I thought the ordeal was over, but the suspicion in their eyes remained. "Maybe you sold it already," my father suggested. "Or pawned it." "This is ridiculous," I said, my patience finally snapping. "Why would I steal a necklace I helped pay for? Do you even hear yourselves?" Just as the argument was escalating, Serena appeared in the doorway holding something small between her fingers. "I found this in your coat pocket," she said, her voice trembling with what I now recognize was fake emotion. "It is the clasp from my necklace." My father snatched it from her hand, examining the tiny gold piece. "This is definitely from her necklace. I have never seen that before," I said, shock washing through me. "She planted it there." "I did not take anything." "Stop lying," my mother said, her voice harder than I had ever heard it. "We found evidence in your possession." The setup was so obvious to me, but my parents were completely blind to it. Serena had always been manipulative, but this crossed a line I never thought she would approach. She was deliberately framing me, and my parents were falling for it completely. "I did not take your necklace, Serena," I said, looking directly at her. "And you know it." Her eyes narrowed slightly, a flash of something cold and calculated visible for just a moment before she burst into fresh tears. "Why would I lie about this? That necklace means everything to me. My father put his arm around her shoulders. Either confess and return the necklace, or you need to leave this house tonight. I will not have a thief under my roof. A thief, I repeated incredulously. Do you have any idea how much money I have given this family over the past 6 years? I have paid Serena's entire college tuition. I have been helping with your mortgage payments. I have covered utility bills when you could not. I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app, to show them the regular transfers. Look at this. $4,000 every month to Serena's university. $600 monthly to your account labeled Family Support. I am not stealing from you. I have been supporting all of you. My mother glanced at the screen, then looked away. That is your choice. It does not give you the right to take Serena's things when you get jealous. Jealous of what I was nearly shouting now. Of the attention she gets, my father said, as if stating something obvious. You have always resented her success. The absurdity of the statement left me speechless. Serena's success had been funded entirely by my hard work, a fact that seemed to escape everyone but me. In that moment, I realized how deeply dysfunctional our family dynamic had become. I was not a son or brother to them. I was an ATM with legs expected to provide without complaint and accept being treated like a criminal when it suited their narrative. Fine, I said finally, my voice eerily calm, as a decision crystallized in my mind. I will leave tonight. But do not expect another penny from me. Not for tuition, not for bills, not for anything. You cannot just abandon your sister in the middle of her education, my mother protested. Watch me, I replied, pulling my suitcase from the closet and beginning to pack. The next few hours passed in a blur of controlled fury as I methodically packed everything I owned. My parents made several attempts to enter my room, alternating between accusations and attempts at guilt-tripping me about Serena's tuition, but I had locked the door and ignored them. I texted my friend Jackson, who immediately offered his spare room until I could move into my new condo. Around midnight, when the house had finally gone quiet, I loaded my car and left without saying goodbye. As I drove toward Jackson's apartment, the full weight of what had happened crashed over me. My entire family had turned against me based on a lie. Years of financial support and sacrifice meant nothing compared to Serena's crocodile tears. Jackson was waiting up for me, a cold beer in hand, and no questions asked until I was ready to talk. After unloading my essential belongings, I collapsed onto his couch and told him everything. That is seriously messed up, he said when I finished. What are you going to do now? First, I am stopping all the automatic payments, I said, pulling out my phone and logging into my bank account. One by one, I canceled the transfers to Serena's university and my parents' account. The sense of liberation was immediate and powerful. You know they are going to freak out when the money stops, right? Let them, I replied, a newfound resolve hardening within me. They made their choice. The next morning, I called my financial advisor and scheduled an appointment to redirect the funds I had been sending my family. We set up a more aggressive investment portfolio and increased my retirement contributions. For the first time in years, I was planning only for my future, not for supporting 3 additional adults. It took less than 48 hours for the messages to start. First came texts from my mother, asking if I had calmed down enough to discuss things rationally. When I did not respond, my father called, leaving voicemails that gradually shifted from stern disappointment to concerned inquiry about the bank transfers. Serena sent nothing at first. 5 days after I left, Jackson showed me something on his phone, a social media post from a mutual friend that included Serena in the background. Around her neck was the supposedly stolen sapphire necklace. Look at the date stamp, Jackson pointed out. This was taken the day after she claimed it was missing. I saved the photo and sent it to my parents with a simple message. Still think I stole it. Their response was defensive, claiming Serena must have found it after I left. Unconvinced, I decided to confront Serena directly. I texted her the photo with a more pointed message. Interesting how a stolen necklace finds its way back around your neck so quickly. Her reply came almost instantly. It is not what you think. I pressed further, and in her flurry of defensive texts, she made a critical mistake. I just needed to teach you a lesson about respecting my things. I never meant for it to go this far. There it was. An admission. I screenshot the conversation and sent it to my parents. This time there was no immediate response. 2 weeks later, as I was settling into my newly finished condo, the university's billing department called me. There was an issue with Serena's tuition payment for the upcoming semester. When I explained I was no longer covering those expenses, the representative mentioned that Serena would need to be notified about potential disenrollment if alternate payment arrangements were not made. That same day, my father called. His voice sounded different, smaller, less certain. "We got the utility shut-off notice yesterday," he said, without preamble. "And Serena's university called about her tuition." "That is not my problem anymore," I replied, surprised by how little guilt I felt. "She admitted it," he said after a long pause. "About the necklace. She admitted she made it all up because she was angry you criticized her spending habits. The vindication was hollow, and you believed her without question." "We were wrong," he conceded. "Your mother and I have been talking. We did not realize how much we were depending on you or how unfairly we were treating you." 6 years, I said. 6 years I supported this family without complaint or recognition. And you threw me out as a thief based on nothing but Serena's word. The silence on the other end spoke volumes. "Can we meet to talk?" he finally asked. "All of us. We need to make this right." I agreed to a meeting, but on my terms, neutral ground at a coffee shop near my new place. I had no intention of returning to their house anytime soon. That weekend, I arrived at the coffee shop to find all 3 of them already there, looking uncomfortable and out of place. Serena would not meet my eyes. My mother seemed to have aged years in the few weeks since I had seen her. My father looked tired and defeated. "Before you say anything," I began as I sat down, "I want to make something clear. I am not resuming financial support for any of you. Those days are over." My mother nodded, tears in her eyes. "We understand. We do not expect that. I never meant for them to kick you out," Serena said quietly. "I was just angry about what you said about my spending." "You framed me as a thief," I replied coldly. "You planted evidence. You lied repeatedly, and you were perfectly happy to keep accepting my money while doing it." "We failed, both of you," my father interjected. "We put too much pressure on you to support the family, and we gave Serena too little responsibility. We created this situation." It was the most self-aware statement I had ever heard from him. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger. A tiny flicker of hope that perhaps they were capable of change. "What happens now?" my mother asked tentatively. "Now you figure out how to live within your means," I said. "Dad needs to ask for more hours or find a second job. Mom might need full-time work. Serena definitely needs a job if she wants to stay in school." Serena looked stricken. "But my internship is unpaid and can wait," I finished for her. Welcome to the real world where people work to support themselves. In the months that followed, our family entered a period of painful but necessary reconstruction. My parents, faced with the reality of their financial situation, without my support, made significant changes. My father took on weekend work at a local hardware store, in addition to his weekday job. My mother increased her hours at the library and took an online course to qualify for a higher-paying position. They downsized to a smaller house, selling the family home I had grown up in. Serena's adjustment was the most dramatic. She had to drop out for 1 semester while she worked full-time to save for tuition. The experience was humbling for her. Gone was the entitled attitude, replaced by a newfound appreciation for the value of money and hard work. When she returned to school, she did so part-time while maintaining a job at a local news station, filing paperwork, and assisting producers, well away from the glamorous on-air positions she had once taken for granted. As for me, I found unexpected freedom in being released from financial responsibility for my family. I started seeing a therapist to unpack the complex emotions surrounding my family. Dynamic years of resentment, the need for validation, and the habit of enabling their dependency. Through these sessions, I began to understand that my willingness to support them financially, without recognition, had been both an act of love and a misguided attempt to purchase the approval I had always been denied. You were trapped in a pattern of giving that became expected, rather than appreciated, my therapist explained, during one particularly insightful session. Breaking that pattern was necessary for everyone's growth. She was right. Although the catalyst had been painful, the outcome was proving healthy for all of us. I was learning to establish and maintain boundaries. My parents were learning self-sufficiency and humility. Serena was learning responsibility. 3 months after our coffee shop meeting, I invited my parents to dinner at my condo. It was the first time they had seen where I lived, and I could see them taking in the modern furnishings, the view of the city skyline, the evidence of the comfortable life I had built for myself. "This is really nice," my mother said. Genuine admiration in her voice. "You have done so well for yourself." "Thank you," I replied, accepting the compliment that once would have been directed only at Serena. During dinner, my father cleared his throat nervously. "We have been talking to a family counselor," he said. "She suggested we might all benefit from some sessions together. If you would be willing." I considered the invitation carefully. "I think that could be helpful," I said finally. "But I want to be clear about something. I am not looking to resume our old dynamic. If we do this, it is to build something new, something healthier. That is what we want too," my mother assured me. And so we began family therapy, awkward at first, but gradually productive. The counselor was skilled at navigating the complex currents of our relationships, helping us identify destructive patterns and communicate more honestly. In one breakthrough session, my father acknowledged the favoritism that had shaped our family for decades. "I saw myself in Serena," he admitted. "Her outgoing personality, her dreams. I wanted to give her everything I never had. I did not realize I was doing it at your expense." "Serena, too, had revelations." "I always thought you had it all together," she told me. "You seemed so capable, so independent. I never considered that you might need support or recognition, too." Slowly, we established new ways of relating to each other. I began joining my parents for Sunday dinner once a month, a commitment I could manage without feeling drained. Serena and I started having occasional lunch meetups where we were learning to be siblings rather than competitors. When she proudly told me she had received her first real paycheck, I felt genuine happiness for her. I still maintained firm financial boundaries. When my parents experienced a genuine emergency, their water heater burst, causing significant damage. I helped with a one-time contribution rather than resuming monthly support. I made it clear this was not a return to the old arrangement, and they respected that boundary. The most profound change came when I received a major promotion at work. In the past, such news would have been acknowledged briefly before the conversation turned to Serena's latest accomplishment. This time, my parents organized a small celebration dinner, specifically to honor my achievement. It felt foreign but wonderful to be the focus of their pride. As I reflect now on the journey of the past year, I realize that the painful rupture in our family was necessary for healing to begin. The accusation of theft, as hurtful as it was exposed. The dysfunction that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. Without that breaking point, we might have continued indefinitely in our unhealthy patterns. Me giving silently, them taking unconsciously, all of us trapped in roles that prevented genuine connection. I have learned that true family support goes both ways. It is not measured in dollars, but in respect, recognition, and reciprocity. I have learned that boundaries are not walls, but healthy delineations that protect relationships rather than destroy them. Most importantly, I have learned that sometimes walking away is necessary before you can return on better terms. Serena graduated last month with her degree in communications. She paid for her final year herself, working nearly full-time while completing her classes. The pride she felt in that accomplishment was visible on her face, a pride that came from knowing she had earned it through her own efforts. For her graduation gift, I did not give her money or expensive jewelry. Instead, I used my connections to arrange an informational interview with a producer at a respected news network. It was an opportunity, not a handout. The distinction matters. Our parents attended the graduation ceremony, as did I. We sat together, not as the fractured family we had been a year ago, but as four individuals choosing to support each other in healthier ways. There is still work to do, still moments of tension when old habits resurface. But we are committed to the process of rebuilding one honest conversation at a time. Have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? What boundaries have you had to set with loved ones who took advantage of your generosity? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories about family dynamics, and share with someone who might need to hear that setting boundaries is not selfish, it is necessary. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember, sometimes the family we rebuild is stronger than the one we were born into.